All right, hello, folks. So, I can't be here for this particular department meeting, so I wanted to share some things that are super important that your group needs to accomplish today, because it is going to be due on Friday by the close of day at school. And so, our focus is crafting a budget plan for next year. Now, even if you plan not to be with us next year, or if you think your plans may be changing or something like that, it's still super important to offer your input as experts who are using tools on a daily basis and using resources and that sort of thing to say, hey, here's my input and here's my expertise in thinking for next year and for what the department might need, kind of like for the good of the group. So we would have done this. You can talk about this as a department if you wish. It's kind of fun. 2 truths and a lie about your spring break plans. Now, here's the super important thing. I do hope that you set the work aside, okay? So your lie should automatically be, I plan to work on everything for my content, for getting things ready, over my break. No, okay? Set the work aside, please. You need a break. You're definitely entitled to it, so take it. So CMAS is coming up, and it was something that was a concern for some teachers, as they were wondering from last week's department meeting. I heard from people who led those meetings, thank you very much, by the way, to those of you who led, that people were wondering, well, how exactly should I approach these next 2 weeks when I don't know what the bell schedule will be, if there will be a change to bell schedule. I don't know which students will be with me, which ones won't, which ones are opting out, which ones are staying, all that kind of stuff. And so thinking about that, a good approach for you might be Hyperdocs, and it's linked into our slideshow and you have access to that always. Now, with Hyperdocs, I created this document for you, which is like a Master Hyperdoc, right? It has everything housed in here, and it has different formats of Hyperdocs, and you are welcome to make a copy of this and make a copy of any of the Hyperdocs in here that you like, that you might want to use. So, and then you can change out and put in your own stuff, whatever. It's not stealing, it's borrowing and changing and adapting, which is what we do as educators, right? So like, let's say, if you're curious about what a foursquare is, you could take a look here and go, oh, all right, so here's the foursquare format. Let me take a look at this and see if it might suit my needs. And you could say, oh, okay, so this is something where I put in 4 videos, either from a source or ones I've made myself. I might have a series of tasks or questions for students to answer, and I might give them an option as to what they can do versus what's required. For this Hyperdoc, it's set up where the yellow is the required, and you can change it up as you see fit, all right? A few other formats that I wanted to show you in case you're wondering, well, what about these students who are doing the CMAS and, the ones who aren't doing the CMAS, and coming and going and all that stuff. You might consider doing one based on points, all right? Where automatically maybe students who are doing the CMAS in person, maybe they earn a certain amount of points right out the gate, right? Just for doing CMAS. And then they have to earn a few other points on a Hyperdoc like this. And so you can see in this, there's all sorts of things linked in. These are great for differentiation. They're great for levels of students. You can suggest which ones some students do. You might say, hey, some students might only have to earn this amount of points in order to meet. Some students might need to do more. It's really cool, how you can assign different levels of assignments to different students. Anywho, for this one, this is one I made a while back. We had already learned about the Korean War, like the basic info, and this was for them to discover more, right? What they wanted to know about. So there's readings, there's videos, there's all sorts of things. There's pictures for them to examine, maps, all of that. And then students had to decide, well, how are they going to earn their points? Okay, so a student of mine decided, oh, okay, well, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to read this. I would recommend that if you're going to do a Hyperdoc like this, that on the second page of it, you go ahead and have a space for students to write in their thinking or their answers, whatever you might choose for that to look like. In this case, I had students doing a 3-2-1, 3 comments, 2 questions, and 1 connection or simile or metaphor. And then there's other ones as well. There's from different content areas. Here's one for mixtures. Okay, that's coming from science. Here's one using a focus question. So for those of you who are doing writing assignments or something like that, using a Hyperdoc might be handy to house all of your sources. So in here, I've got one where students can actually read the source if they wish. They can go and they can read it themselves. Or I made some read-along videos for them, and I just posted them to YouTube. So if they're a student who maybe struggles with reading and maybe they would like someone to go through it more deliberately and point out some things, there's read-alongs. So there are different adaptations that you can make for levels of students to help them out while they're working asynchronously, while you may be proctoring or whatever, okay? Here's a fill-in-the-doc approach, and these work out well too. And so you've got, with this one, spaces for students to fill in their thinking as they explore different sources, again, with some sort of focus question at the top that they're seeking to answer. And so students would have to click on the source, and then they would have to take notes based on what they watched, and so on, okay? They could choose which sources they would read or watch or use, and so on. So you are welcome, again, to adapt any of these. And if you need some more help on how to put one together, here's a great article that you could read from Cult of Pedagogy. Love Jen Gonzalez, she's amazing. If you want to make your own from scratch, here's a video that can help to get you started. It's just a short video. I think it's less than 10 minutes long. Here's another one on how to borrow one of these formats and then just change it up and make it your own. Alrighty? So lots of different approaches here, things you can explore. And then on the 28th, I want to stress this. On the 28th, our first day when we get back, there is no PD. None. I am not allowed to offer any PD. I'm not allowed to have teachers volunteer to host anything and, invite people. Nope, totally off the table. The day is entirely yours to grade and to plan. And so, if you would like some help putting something together for the 28th, if you're interested in a format like this, please reach out to me. You can book me for a time. I am pretty much totally open on the 28th, and I would be very glad to help you if you need some help. So please feel free to reach out, all right? PBL is something else. You can explore that if you wish. Right here, I've got a full-on planning guide for how you could run through one of those, all right? But you might want to choose that, if you've had other training with PBL before and that kind of stuff. But totally up to you, right? Our goal today, budget. So we need one person in your group to be the note taker, to pull up that Excel spreadsheet that Amy Reed sent out. So search for that in your email. Put that up and share that on your screen with everyone who is attending the meeting, and then go around and listen to each other on requests for next year. Try your best to estimate the costs. It's super important if you're able to. If you have requests for things, don't be shy about them. You want to go ahead and put them in, because if you don't, then you didn't ask, and it may not be offered. So you want to make sure that you get your voice heard when it comes to requests for supplies and resources. So the budget planning sheet that I was referring to that Amy Reed sent out, it looks something like this. So you want to make sure that you have one person put that up and share. A few considerations that you should be aware of. One, teachers pay teachers will not be reimbursed next year, okay? So if you're thinking, oh, I've got this thing on teachers pay teachers that I wanted to buy, unfortunately, you will not be able to buy those. Those are things that are not vetted or approved through Jeffco. And so we want to make sure that we're using tools that our district gives us the A-OK on as much as possible. Also, keep in mind, you want to think of yourself as a designer of instructional experiences for students. So the bridge is the set of content and skills that are mapped out for you that we should all be following, right? And then using the bridge, we want to go, okay, what can I use as my vehicle? What resources can I use as my vehicle to make sure that students are learning that content or learning those skills? So we don't necessarily want to live in one resource all the time. You want to make sure that you're varying that up and using your expertise and, using your wide skill set and all of these different resources that are available to you and curating the best ones to use with your students. All right. A few tools that I've already requested on your behalf, or I will be requesting on your behalf for the entire staff, are Mote, Padlet, Edpuzzle, Annotate.net, Slip and Slide, and Kami. I don't know if all of those will be given to us, but I'm going to go ahead and put those on there on my sheet for Instructional Coach. And if you're wondering about digital tools, you'll want to check out this link that is in the slideshow. All right. Tier 1 tools are supported, and they're already paid for by Jeffco, so you don't have to request those. Tier 2, we have to pay for those as a school, but they are not supported by EdTech. So you can request it, but it's kind of like with Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle, we're not going to get any support from Jeffco on that one. We would have to reach out to Edpuzzle directly and say, hey, can you help us figure out and troubleshoot and whatever, which is totally fine most of the time. They have some pretty supportive people there. All right, but just something to keep in mind. And then, after you've done your budget plan, please do think about what is your plan for the 28th, so you make sure to maximize your vacation time. One thing that is great about this gift of time is that you're not going to be spending, hopefully, the 26th and the 27th planning and getting ready and using your Saturday and Sunday before we come back to be ready for students. This day really is a gift, and think about what can you plan for yourself for that day. How can you structure your day to make sure that you are preserving and maintaining your vacation, because that's so important, all right? I hope that you all have a wonderful break. Please reach out to me if you would like to work together on the 28th on a Hyperdoc or whatever planning for your course. Again, there is no PD planned for that day. All right? So I hope you guys have a great one. And whoever it is who does your budget plan for your group, if you could please save it and then email it to Amy Reed and CC me on that, that would be amazing. And remember, that is due on Friday. Okay? Friday by the close of day. Thanks so much.